Why your car is the biggest wealth destroyer you own. I want you to picture two coworkers. Same company, same job title, same salary. They both pull into the office parking lot every morning. The first parks a brand new $58,000 SUV. Heated seats, panoramic sunroof. A monthly payment that hits the account like clockwork. They talk about the car constantly, the smell of it, the features, the way people look at it at red lights. Ask them about their savings and the conversation changes. They get vague. They change the subject. They say they're working on it. The second parks a 2017 sedan they bought used for $14,000 cash. Nothing remarkable about it. Gets them from point A to point B without a second thought. Ask them about their savings and they answer without hesitation. They have $67,000 in their investment account. They're on track to retire at 52. They haven't had a car payment in 4 years. Same income, same neighborhood. The person driving the less impressive car is building a life the other person can't see yet. This isn't about cars. It's about the single largest wealth-destroying decision most people make on autopilot, without ever questioning whether it makes any financial sense at all. The car is different from every other purchase in one critical way. It sits at the intersection of every wealth-destroying behavior at once. Debt, depreciation, status signaling, lifestyle inflation, and ongoing hidden costs all converge inside that one decision. Understanding why the car destroys wealth faster than almost anything else will change how you think about money permanently. Let's start with the number most people have never actually calculated. The true cost of car ownership isn't your monthly payment. Your monthly payment is the smallest part of the story. It's the number the dealership wants you to focus on because it's the number that feels manageable. $249 a month sounds reasonable. What that payment represents over time does not. Here is what car ownership actually costs when you add everything together. The purchase price or monthly payments. Depreciation. Insurance. Fuel. Maintenance and repairs. Registration fees. Parking. Financing interest if you carry a loan. The American Automobile Association calculates that the average new car costs its owner between $10,000 and $12,000 per year when all of these categories are combined. Most people guess somewhere around $4,000 or $5,000 when asked. The gap between what people think their car costs and what it actually costs is one of the most expensive miscalculations in personal finance. That gap is where wealth goes to disappear quietly. Let me walk through each hidden layer so the full picture becomes impossible to ignore. Depreciation is the cost nobody feels until it's already gone. A new car loses roughly 20% of its value the moment it leaves the dealership lot. Not over a year, not over a month. The moment you drive it home, you have already lost a significant portion of what you paid. Over the first 5 years of ownership, the average new vehicle loses between 50% and 60% of its purchase value. On a $45,000 vehicle, that's $22,500 to $27,000 evaporated. Not spent on something, not invested somewhere. Simply gone. Transferred silently from your net worth to the void. Depreciation doesn't show up on a bank statement. There's no line item, no notification, no moment where you feel the loss. It happens invisibly, which is exactly why most people never account for it. The car still looks the same. It still drives the same. But the financial damage accumulates every single day regardless of whether you're paying attention. This is the cruelest feature of new car ownership. The losses are invisible. The enjoyment is real. The brain registers the pleasure of driving a beautiful new vehicle and never registers the simultaneous erosion of wealth happening underneath it. Now add financing costs on top of depreciation. The average new car loan in the United States carries an interest rate somewhere between 6% and 9% for buyers with good credit. On a $45,000 vehicle financed over 60 months at 7%, you pay approximately $8,900 in interest charges alone. That's $8,900 paid to a bank for the privilege of driving a car that simultaneously lost $25,000 in value. You are paying a bank to help you destroy wealth faster. That is the arrangement most people sign without reading the full terms of what they've agreed to. The financing cost and the depreciation cost don't cancel each other out. They stack. They compound the loss. You end up paying significantly more than the sticker price for an asset worth significantly less than what you paid. The math only works in one direction and it isn't yours. Then comes insurance. A new vehicle with a loan requires comprehensive and collision coverage. The lender mandates it to protect their asset. On a newer, higher-value vehicle, full coverage insurance commonly runs $150 to $250 per month. Depending on your location, driving record, and the specific vehicle. That's $1,800 to $3,000 per year for a cost that produces zero return. Insurance is necessary. It is not an investment. Every dollar spent on insurance is a dollar that will never grow, compound, or return to you in any form unless a specific unfortunate event occurs. Fuel costs follow. The average American drives approximately 15,000 miles per year. At average fuel economy and current fuel prices, annual fuel costs commonly fall between $1,800 and $3,000 depending on the vehicle's efficiency. An SUV or truck on the higher end of that range. A smaller sedan on the lower end. Every mile per gallon matters over a decade of ownership. Choosing a vehicle that gets 20 miles per gallon instead of 30 miles per gallon costs you thousands of dollars across the life of ownership. That decision happens once, at the dealership, and the financial consequences run for years. Maintenance and repairs are the costs that accelerate over time. New vehicles tend to have lower maintenance costs initially, though this varies by manufacturer and model. As vehicles age, repair costs increase. Timing belts, transmission services, brake replacements, suspension work, and unexpected failures all extract money on timelines you cannot predict or control. The industry average for annual maintenance runs between $800 and $1,200 for a relatively new vehicle in good condition and climbs from there. Registration, parking, and incidentals add several $100s more annually depending on your state and city. Every category stacks on top of the others. None of them appear in the monthly payment number the salesperson quotes you in the showroom. Add it all together honestly, and you arrive at a number that reframes every other financial decision in your life. Now let's talk about what that money could do instead. Because the real conversation isn't just about what cars cost. It's about what that money costs you in terms of what it could have become. The person spending $10,500 per year on car ownership is spending $875 per month. If that same $875 per month were invested consistently in a diversified index fund generating historical average returns of around 8% annually, here is what the math produces. After 10 years, approximately $160,000. After 20 years, approximately $515,000. After 30 years, approximately $1,300,000. The car payment that felt manageable at $875 per month represents $1.3 million in foregone wealth over a working lifetime. That number doesn't include the compounding on individual years. It doesn't account for raises and income growth that could have increased contributions. It represents a conservative baseline of what the car culture costs the average person across their peak earning decades. This is the number car dealerships will never show you. This is the calculation that transforms how you look at every vehicle on the lot. Most people evaluate a car purchase by asking whether the monthly payment fits their budget. Minimalists ask a different question entirely. They ask what this decision costs them in financial freedom. They translate the true annual cost into its equivalent in future wealth. Then they decide whether the vehicle is worth that price. Almost nothing on the lot survives that calculation. So what does a minimalist approach to transportation actually look like in practice? It starts with a fundamental reframe. A car is a tool, not a statement. Its function is to move you from one location to another reliably and safely. Every feature, upgrade, and luxury beyond that function is a premium you pay for something that depreciates, requires insurance, consumes fuel, and produces nothing in return. The minimalist transportation framework operates on 5 principles. Principle 1. Buy used and let someone else absorb the depreciation. The steepest depreciation on any vehicle occurs in the first 2 to 3 years of ownership. A vehicle that sold new for $40,000 commonly trades at $24,000 to $28,000 after 3 years with reasonable miles. The mechanical reliability is largely unchanged. The depreciation curve has flattened dramatically. You absorb almost none of the catastrophic early loss. You capture most of the remaining useful life. This single shift in buying behavior eliminates tens of thousands of dollars in losses across a lifetime of vehicle ownership. Principle 2. Buy within your means with cash when possible. A car loan isn't neutral. It isn't just a way to acquire something you couldn't otherwise afford. It is a financial product designed to extract money from you over time. Every car loan comes with interest charges that increase the true cost of the vehicle beyond the sticker price. Paying cash isn't always immediately possible, but it should be the goal that shapes how you save, how you budget, and how you approach the decision. Someone who saves for a vehicle instead of financing it pays the sticker price rather than the sticker price plus thousands in interest charges. They also make a different buying decision. When you feel the full weight of the money leaving your account at once, you buy differently than when the cost is diffused across 60 monthly payments. Principle 3. Match the vehicle to actual use rather than imagined use. The number of trucks purchased by people who rarely haul anything. The number of large SUVs owned by people who never leave paved roads. The number of performance vehicles owned by people who drive exclusively in traffic. The vehicle most people drive reveals almost nothing about how they actually use it, and almost everything about how they want to be perceived. Minimalists buy for actual documented use. If you haul equipment regularly, a truck makes sense. If you never leave pavement and primarily commute, a reliable sedan or smaller vehicle serves the function at a fraction of the cost. The imagined uses, the camping trips you'll take someday, the boat you'll tow eventually, the off-road adventures you've always thought about, are not worth tens of thousands of dollars in premium vehicle costs paid every day. The fantasy isn't happening. Principle 4. Extend vehicle life aggressively. The financial turning point in car ownership arrives when the vehicle is fully paid off and remains reliable. At that moment, the monthly payment disappears, but the vehicle's function doesn't. Every month you drive a paid-off reliable vehicle is a month where your transportation cost drops dramatically. The person who buys a used vehicle at $18,000, pays it off in 2 years, and then drives it for another 8 years has spread the cost across a decade. Their average annual vehicle cost looks nothing like the person who cycles into a new lease or loan every 3 years. Minimalists maintain vehicles aggressively because maintenance is dramatically cheaper than replacement. Regular oil changes, timely repairs, and basic upkeep extend vehicle life well beyond the point where most people trade in out of boredom or status anxiety. Principle 5. Question whether you need a car at all. This isn't practical in most of the United States, where infrastructure makes car ownership effectively mandatory. But in cities with functional transit, in neighborhoods where walkability is high, or in living situations where a second vehicle is a convenience rather than a necessity, the full elimination of one vehicle produces extraordinary financial results. A 2-car household eliminating one vehicle eliminates one set of insurance costs, one set of registration fees, one set of maintenance costs, and either one loan payment or one opportunity cost on invested capital. The savings commonly exceed $6,000 to $9,000 annually. Over a decade, that's a down payment, an emergency fund, or a substantial investment portfolio funded entirely by a transportation decision. Now let me connect this back to something broader, because the car isn't just a car. It's a window into a pattern of thinking that either builds wealth or destroys it. The car is the most visible, most socially loaded, most emotionally charged purchase most people make outside of a home. It sits in the driveway for neighbors to see. It pulls up to events. It communicates something about who you are and where you've arrived. Or at least, that's what the industry that sells them needs you to believe. The wealth-building truth is quieter. It doesn't park in a visible driveway. It doesn't turn heads at intersections. It sits in brokerage accounts and retirement funds and emergency reserves, invisible to everyone except the person whose life it will eventually transform. The people who build real wealth often drive unremarkable cars. Not because they can't afford better, because they've done the math. Because they've calculated the true cost. Because they've translated that cost into its equivalent in freedom, options, and time. And they decided that no vehicle on the lot was worth what it would cost them in the life they're trying to build. This is the decision hiding inside every car purchase. You're not choosing between vehicles. You're choosing between versions of your future. The showroom makes one version look irresistible. A spreadsheet makes the other one undeniable. What you do with that tension determines more about your financial future than almost any other single decision you'll make. Here is where you start. This week, calculate your true annual cost of car ownership. Include every category. Don't estimate low to make yourself feel better. Be precise and be honest. Then multiply that annual cost by 30 and apply a conservative 8% investment return. The number you arrive at is the wealth your current transportation decision is costing you across a working lifetime. Then ask yourself a simple question. Is the vehicle I'm driving worth that number? For most people, the honest answer will change everything.